Okay, I am here in fractions number 7, Google Jamboard. As you can see, there are 13 frames in this Jamboard. Over here on the left-hand side, you see all of the tools that are available within the Jamboard. The very top tool is the pen. Okay, it looks like a pen or a marker. I need to click on that, and that little white arrow will allow me to choose whether I want a pen, a marker, a highlighter, or a brush. I've always encouraged you to choose the marker because it's a little thicker. Then you can choose your color. Doesn't matter what color you choose to write with. Any one is fine with me. Okay, now if you can't see this pen tool, in the very top right-hand corner, there are 3 dots called the snowman. If you click on that and then choose the zoom out, the little minus sign, okay, that'll zoom out a little bit, which will maybe allow you to see your pen tool. Okay. Now that I have it chosen, I'm ready to begin. So in this Jamboard, we're working on dividing fractions. We want our answer to be in simplest form, and if our answer is an improper fraction, then I want you to make it a mixed number, and then be sure to circle your final answer. So in this Jamboard, there are 12 total problems, and I will do the first 3 in the video. So in number 1, we have the fraction 5/6 divided by 1/2. Now over here, I have a note on KFC, which you may know as keep, flip, change. The reason we use KFC when dividing fractions is because dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Reciprocal is a mathematical word for flipping the fraction. I want you to be familiar and comfortable using the word reciprocal. It's called flipping a fraction. Okay, so let's use KFC to figure out what 5/6 divided by 1/2 is. So the K on KFC reminds me to keep the first fraction. So this first fraction, 5/6, I'm just going to bring it down and rewrite it. So 5/6. Okay. So I kept the first fraction as it is. I didn't change anything about it. Next, F, I will flip the second fraction. So this second fraction right here, 1/2, I'm going to flip it. So the top number will go, the bottom number will go on top, and the top number will go on bottom. So instead of being 1/2, it's going to be 2/1. Okay. And what I just did right there by flipping the fraction, that is called taking the reciprocal. So what is the reciprocal of 1/2? 2/1 or 2. I could also go backwards. What's the reciprocal of 2? Well, the reciprocal of 2 would be 1/2 or 1/2. Okay, so I kept the first fraction, I flipped the second fraction, and the final step of KFC, I keep, I flip, and then I see, I change. I change from division to multiplication. Now I'm going to use a dot to symbolize multiplication. Okay, so 5/6 divided by 1/2, that is the same thing as 5/6 times 2. Those are saying the exact same thing because dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. Okay, now that I've changed it to a multiplication problem, I just multiply as normal. I'm going to look and see, can I cross simplify? Okay, so I have a 5 on top here and a 1 on bottom here. So that's already simplified. That's 5/1. I can't cross simplify it. What about 2/6? I have a 2 on top here in this fraction and a 6 on bottom of this fraction. Are 2 and 6 divisible by a common factor? You should say yes. They're both even, and we know that all even numbers are divisible by 2. So let me divide this 2 and this 6 by the same number, 2. So what is 2 divided by 2? That is 1. So I'm going to cross the 2 out and make it a 1. What about 6 divided by 2? 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I'll cross the 6 out and make it a 3. So I've cross simplified 2/6 or 2/6 to be 1/3 or 1/3. Now I'm going to multiply the numerators. I'll multiply straight across. So I'll multiply the numerators, which are 5 times 1. That's 5. On the bottom, I have 3 times 1. 3 times 1 is 3. So this is my answer, 5/3. This is correct, but in the directions it tells me that my answer not only must be in simplest form, which it is, but if my answer is improper, which it is, then I need to make it a mixed number. So I need to make 5/3 a mixed number. Remember the fraction bar, the horizontal fraction bar means divided by. So this is really saying 5 divided by 3. And so that would look like this, 5 divided by 3. Okay, notice how my top number went inside, my bottom number went outside. 3 goes into 5 once. 1 times 3 is 3. I would subtract 5 minus 3 to get 2. And so my remainder becomes the numerator in my fraction part, and the divisor becomes my denominator in the fraction part. So this is 1 and 2/3. 5/3 is the same thing as 1 and 2/3. So 1 and 2/3 is my answer. Number 2, I'm going to divide these fractions. So I'm going to use KFC. So let's keep the first fraction as it is, 7/8, keeping it as is. Second fraction, I flip. So what's the reciprocal of 2/3? If I flip it, that's going to be 3/2, right? So the reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. So I kept the first fraction. I flipped the second fraction. Then I see I changed from division to multiplication. I'm going to look and see, can I cross simplify? 7/2? Nope. 7 and 2 are not divisible by a common factor, so I can't cross simplify there. What about 3/8? Are those divisible by a common factor? No, they're not. Okay, so I can't cross simplify, and you can't always cross simplify. And here is an instance where I can't. And so all I got to do now is just multiply the numerators. So 7 times 3, that's equal to, of course, 21. And on the bottom, I have 8 times 2. 8 times 2 is 16. Okay, so 21/16, that would be correct, but it's improper, as you can tell, because the top number is bigger than the bottom number. And so let me set up my division problem. Top number goes inside, and bottom number goes outside. So this is 21 divided by 16. 16 goes into 21 one time, because 1 times 16 is 16. I subtract 21 minus 16 to get 5, and so my answer is 1 and 5/16 as a mixed number. Okay, so notice the work that I have shown on the Jamboard for number 1 and number 2. I am not just putting the answer. If you just put the answer, you will get a 0. I must see your work. And how do you show your work? You click on the pen tool and then use your mouse to click and write stuff on the Jamboard. Okay, notice also when dividing fractions, like I said, I multiplied by the reciprocal. And when we're multiplying fractions, I do not need a common denominator. Okay, I only need a common denominator when adding or subtracting fractions. Last example in this video is number 3, a little word problem here. It says this. Here's the situation. In Mr. Evatt's 4th grade class, 1/2 of the class prefers Skittles over M&Ms. Of the students who prefer Skittles, 1/3 of them like the red Skittle the best. So that's the situation. Here's the question in part A. It says, what fraction of Mr. Evatt's 4th graders like the red Skittle the best? Okay, so first off, it says in the situation, 1/2 of the class prefers Skittles. Okay, so 1/2 of the class prefers Skittles over M&Ms. We know that. Of the students who prefer Skittles, which would be right here, half the class, of the students who prefer Skittles, 1/3 of them. So 1/3 of 1/2, because 1/2 of the students like the Skittles. 1/3 of half the class like the red Skittle the best. So what fraction of the 4th graders like the red Skittle the best? What is 1/3 of 1/2? This language right here is very, very important. This of language. Of. Okay, when you see of in math, that is more than likely multiplication. Okay, and if I want 1/3 of 1/2, I just need to multiply 1/3 times 1/2. I can't cross simplify. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so 1/3 of 1/2 would be 1/6, and so that would be my answer to part A. 1/6 of Mr. Evatt's 4th graders like the red Skittle the best. Part B question, if there are 24 students in Mr. Evatt's class, how many of them like the red Skittle the best? Well, we just found in part A that 1/6 of his class likes the red Skittle the best. So 1/6 of, so let's multiply, 1/6 of the class. And in part B, we are told how many students are in that class. So what's 1/6 of 24? Okay, so 1/6 times 24. And I can write 24 as a fraction, right, by putting it over a 1. We learned that in chapter 3, how to write a number as a rational number. And so I put 24 over 1. Now, what's multiply? Can I cross simplify? 24 over 6? Yep, those are both divisible by 6, right? What's 24 divided by 6? 4. What's 6 divided by 6? 1. So I cross simplified. Now multiply straight across. 1 times 4 is 4. On the bottom, 1 times 1 is 1. What's 4 over 1 or 4 divided by 1? That is 4. 4 students, right? Because it says how many of them, how many students. I'm going to add a text box here by clicking on the T. I want it right here. Okay, I'm going to type in students. Okay, so 4 students. I'm going to circle my answer by adding a circle in here. I'm going to click on the circle. I want it right here. I'm going to enlarge it. Okay. And it looks like when I do that, it hides the students. So I'm going to click and drag right there. So 4 students. Okay. So we did the first 3 together. Numbers 4 and 5, you're dividing the fraction. So use KFC. Number 6, I'm multiplying these fractions. So do I need to use KFC if I'm just going to multiply the fractions? No, I don't. I only use keep, flip, change when I am dividing fractions. So here I would just simply cross simplify and then multiply as normal. Number 7, I'm dividing. Number 8, I'm dividing. Number 9, I'm dividing. Number 10, I am adding, right? There's the plus sign that says show all work to find the sum. And of course, we know the sum is the answer to an addition problem. I have a hint over here in a blue sticky note that says since you are adding fractions, make sure to create common denominators so that you can add the fractions. Number 11, you're multiplying. Hint, cross simplify before you start multiplying. Number 12, multiplying fractions. I would encourage you to cross simplify before you start multiplying. The final frame, again, tells you how to turn the Jamboard in. You'll click view assignment and then turn in. Okay, once you turn it in, I'll take a look at it. And if you missed any, I'll give you feedback so that you can make corrections to those problems that you missed.